Good morning. Welcome to Pouring Through Life. I am going to do Dominos. So here in Washington State, our sports teams, specifically our football team, is the Seattle Seahawks. And their colors are blue and green and silver. So I got these little brushy things, little patty brushy things, in one of my packets of whatever's I ordered, and I took the colors and I just brushed it in here, and then I went over the little the buttons on the dominoes with a silver, it's called silver Stardust Micas, and it is called sterling silver. And then the colors, the blue and the green, is Rolio Blue Iris, and the green is Parakeet Green. So my hope is that when the color mix in, a little bit of the colors actually attached to it. Whether or not it works, I have no idea. It's a total experiment. What else would these things be used for? So hopefully it works. Inside my resin, which is approximately 8 ounces, is some holographic confetti style glitter. So one is blue and green and the other is silver, and I mixed it in. So even if this doesn't work, then I have some cool glitter to go with it, and then I can paint the buttons later. So I'm gonna start filling these in. My resin is fresh, so it's not warm at all. Trying to think how I want to do this without making a giant mess. So maybe I'll just start with putting a little bit in each one. I took water and I filled up the mold to see how much water it would hold. And that's pretty much how I determine how much resin to put in my molds, is I measure out some water, pour it in the mold, and see how much it holds. So we'll see if this works. I'm excited to try it out. But I put so much glitter in here, it might not even show if it does work. So we'll see. Hopefully it does. If not, I got some really pretty glittery coasters. Or not coasters, dominoes. Blah. I'm always doing coasters, so this is something different than what I normally would do. Seems like one dip of the stick fills these up pretty perfectly. And then if I have any leftovers, I'm gonna do my little flowers. Got these cute little flower molds. My daughter likes to play the same video over and over and over again to torture me. Okay. And then I got the little leaves. So I got enough left over. I can do the little leaves too. Oh, she's moved on to the cute little Asian kid music.
She just told me she wanted her earbuds.
Thank the Lord for headphones. I'd go insane. I mean, seriously insane. That kid plays the same songs all day long. All day long.
She is definitely your creature of habit.
All day long.
Is it okay?
All day long, Cindy. All day long, Cindy.
I know.
Like, all day long.
And I'm here for 4 hours, I know. I know the 4. I don't think it would change much.
All day long.
The only thing
And
that does
then,
is ask you
no, and then.
specifically. I know.
The man. When's the man coming?
I know.
Like,
did she talk
400
to the man
times
this
a day.
weekend?
No.
No.
No, I'm done with that.
She's not. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did you pour it over there? What's this one?
Leaves.
Oh, nice.
Little fall.
Wasn't certain.
Little fall leaves. I'm just scraping out the last little bit of resin from my container. And that will be... Alright, so now I'm going to heat this up with my heat gun just to get some bubbles out of it. I like to go over the heat gun because then I can blow off any excess from the mold. Why not? And make sure they're all pretty even too. You want them to be all pretty uniform as far as depth of the domino. You don't want one to be bigger than the other and whatnot. When you have these little deep flower molds, you're gonna have, what I usually do is I'll take a skewer and I will go through and make sure that there's no air bubbles because these tend to have air bubbles. Just kind of move around and go through the creases of it and gets rid of any air bubbles so you don't have a little pit that dries without some resin in it. And I'll do the same thing with the domino. Just kind of make sure that there's no air bubbles in the corners. Just want to make sure that that is all in there.
Oh, that's a cute little chair you have. That's your baby chair. It's a cute baby chair.
It's a little tedious sometimes, but it's worth it to make sure that you don't have any air bubbles. because these are fairly deep, these tend to set up pretty fast. Anything that's, you know, a thicker material will set up a little bit faster because of the heat involved. The more deeper the container is, the hotter it gets as the resin reacts to the hardener. So you want to pay attention to the consistency when you're doing this, because if it starts gelling and it's getting thick and funky, you don't want to do this. Otherwise you're just going to ruin what you made. But when you're doing a flower that has cavities, you want to get in there and make sure there's no air bubbles, and I've already found several just in these 3 little flowers that I'm doing, so it's worth it to me to do this. What? Okay. Now that's clean. I'm gonna go back through and I'm gonna scrape these edges because I just don't want there to be too much overfill, and that will clean off the mold a little bit. I can see lots of bubbles already, so I'm going to go back through with my torch and do a quick pop of bubbles. That's why I did the skewer, was to get those bubbles out, and it obviously is going to work because I can see bubbles popping up while I'm sitting here looking at it. Okay, so now I don't usually do torching on my silicone molds very often, that it works though. You just don't want to hold it in a direct spot too long or you will melt your mold. Every time you will melt your mold. So you want to be careful not to do that. Unless you don't care about having to replace your molds every time you use them. Okay. You can still see some bubbles coming up right in the corner. Just a little pop of some heat.
Hello? Yes, I'm at work. Are you okay? Is everything okay?
So I'll probably babysit this for a little bit just to make sure it's working out right. Let me take you down for a close-up. Alright guys, so my dominoes are hard. So let's check out if it worked. It totally worked. So I used the little like makeup brush and I took the micas and I coated the mold with just like a dusting of the mica powders, and it worked out pretty perfect. I'm glad I put the glitter in there too because it's really pretty. It's not all the way dry yet. Let's pop out a couple more here. And it's uniform. I'm stoked how good it turned out. I just wiped in the mica powder and that turned out pretty darn good. I still have to do the dots, but I'm happy with that result. Really happy with how that turned out. And then I had leftover resin, so I did this mold here and I did some flowers. And then I got inspired and I got some molds that came in. So I took the little brushes and I dipped mica powders and I went over these molds with mica powder and just did a light dusting on them. And what came out, I am so excited about. Look at how freaking awesome these turned out. This is just wiped in mica powder and a little tiny bit of resin bits that I had from this coaster set that's drying right now. But the majority of the flowers were just dusted with mica powders with a little, like a makeup applicator. Look at how beautiful that is. And it makes it so that your creation ability is endless because you can be more detailed, you can use more colors. I'm super excited at the possibilities that will come of this. I'm planning on doing these flowers as centerpieces for some coasters. And I couldn't wait any longer, so I popped a few out, but they're not dry yet. These are all very, very soft. So I will do the rest of them tomorrow when they are more dry. All right, thank you guys. If you like my videos, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you guys get notified in the future of other videos. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.